afternoon, guys. My name is Ryan with Michigan Storm Chasers. I wanted to hop on here and give you guys an update in regards to how we're looking throughout the day and also take a peek at some things coming up in our future here in the state of Michigan in regards to our weather patterns, upcoming storms, some temperature stuff, just an overall general consensus briefing, so to speak. So, first and foremost, your live radar across the state, as expected, we have changed over to rain for areas from Grand Rapids over to Flint and areas south. You see all rain there. The freezing rain is over. It does appear that we have escaped the worst of this storm in terms of ice accumulation, which is really good. However, the roads are going to be slick still for a little while, so take some time if you're traveling out there. As the day goes on into this afternoon and evening, those areas should start to improve in terms of road conditions. Now, up here to the north, we do have snow that is currently ongoing north of Grand Rapids, north of Flint. There is still winter weather advisories up for the thumb of Michigan here. If I go ahead and click on the current alerts, now Grand Rapids area, has dropped their advisory. The only counties that are in that advisory so far are Clinton, Gratiot, Ionia, Malcolm, Muskegon counties for the Grand Rapids area. And then for Detroit area, it's going to be Bay, Genesee, Huron, Lapeer, Midland, Saginaw, Sanilac, Shiawassee, St. Clair, and Tuscola counties. Those are the only counties currently still under the advisory. So if you're down here in Jackson, Calhoun, Kalamazoo, Van Buren, Allegan, Barry, Eaton, and Ingham counties, you guys are no longer in that advisory. Again, that's going to be just for mainly snow and slick road conditions. Not expecting much snow wave of significant accumulation. But if you're up here in, say, Gladwin, Standish, Bay City, Big Rapids, Reed City, up here toward Mount Pleasant, you guys are going to get a couple inches of snow accumulation throughout the day. Nothing major with this. 2 to 4 inches is our going forecast for you guys. I know the NWS was calling for a little bit more, but I think it's going to end up in that 2 to 4 range for most everybody up there. Again, road conditions will improve across the state gradually throughout the day. Even in the snow areas, it's going to be borderline freezing up there. So road conditions should be improving throughout the day, no matter where you're at. Now, in terms of the current future, or the current and future forecast for snow, the ARRR model here does show a little bit of a swath there, 1, 2, maybe 3 inches in some spots there. So again, 2 to 4 inches for those areas in central Michigan. And in terms of when the snow stops for you guys, we'll be looking at the evening time frame, especially as we head into sunset and we see that rain start to shift north there. Again, as sun sets, the system moves out. And again, rain will be off and on for southern areas throughout the day. So with that being said, that is the gist for today. The system is on its way out, just some snow and some rain left over. We escaped the worst of it. Great news here in Michigan, not many power outages, but we have seen plenty of accidents as expected with any type of ice accretion here. So with that being said, let's go ahead and take a peek into the future. Do we have any storms upcoming? What are our temperatures looking like? How are we looking for the future? So today's Tuesday. We switch over here to our GFS model for temperatures. We're going to see these temperatures hold in the 30 to 40 or the 30 to 40 degree range pretty much all week throughout the week. We start to see these 40-degree temperatures start to creep up towards the Michigan border here. So if you're in southern Michigan, a run at 40 or higher is definitely possible. We continue through Wednesday into Thursday. We again see that warmer air just off to our south there. So if you're in southern Ohio, you're going to be close to 60. But if you're in Michigan, you're going to be right in that 35 to 40 degree range for most of us here. And then we continue into Friday, we watch a system heading up from the south here. Scroll down here. We start seeing some disturbances in the atmosphere down here, so to speak. And as we get into Saturday, we see a low pressure take shape just off to our south here in Tennessee. A lot of warm air down here. But on the north side of this low, we have some cold air still present. We're going to be right around that freezing mark. So Saturday night, we are kind of keeping an eye on the system here. A lot could change. We do have some cold air tries to fill in there for the weekend as that system comes a little bit further north and passes off to our south and east over the Youngstown, Ohio area there as that moves over into Pennsylvania as we get into the Sunday time frame. Now, in terms of precipitation, I think it's still too early to decide if it's going to be rain, if it's going to be snow. We're on the right side of the system for some snow here in Michigan. However, the temperature profiles are borderline favorable for snow. So it could be snow, it could be rain. I wouldn't be shocked to see some mixing again with this system, but I think right now the model is really trying to spit some snow out there. If you look at precipitation type, And we go ahead and move into the Saturday time frame. Again, we see this rain starting out as rain Saturday night, but a quick changeover to snow as temperatures drop there for Michigan. So, in terms of precipitation, I think it's still too early to decide specifics, but definitely pay attention this weekend, Saturday night and Sunday morning, for rain and or snow and or potentially a mix there, trying to mix in some maybe some sleet or freezing rain. Again, it doesn't look like an ice storm like we had, or it doesn't look like an ice storm at all, should I say? Nothing like we had last night in southern Michigan, but I think it's going to be a mainly snow and or rain event or both for some areas in Michigan. We'll have to keep an eye on that. Again, we'll be breaking it down for our subscribers first. We'll post public information as we get a bit closer. But again, something to keep an eye on in terms of precipitation for the weekend if you have plans this weekend. And that will favor mostly right now southern and central parts of Michigan. If you're in the UP, you look to escape the system for right now. Again, that could shift, but for right now, it affects most of central and southern parts of lower Michigan. In terms of temperatures, though, for long term, we posted on our page just a bit ago about warm up coming for February. And that does appear to be the case here. We see a pattern flip from what we've been experiencing here. We see the pattern has just flipped really from the Arctic air that we've been in for a couple of weeks here, switched it to a more mild pattern, 30s and 40s, but we get even more mild as we head into the late February or the early February, late January timeframe. So if we go ahead and move this model forward here, we see that system pass off to our south and east. We have a little bit of cold air hanging around for early parts of next week. But as we get into February, these models really start bringing them that milder air off to the south there. We start seeing some runs toward 40s in the state and also towards 50s. It'll be higher the further south you go. So the UP will be the coldest, but still much above average for the UP, around 40 degrees likely up there. If you take a peek at some of the longer range models, this is a GFS model. It has been running cold lately. So if we look at a few of our different scenarios here, this is a plot here for Gaylord, Michigan, which is in northern lower. We see a period here from February 1st to February 6th or so of mid to upper 40s for Gaylord. So northern Michigan, they can run at 50 possible. But the further south you go, we say let's go down to, we'll go ahead and say Ann Arbor. Let's go to Ann Arbor, click on temperature profiles here. We see 48 for the 1st of February. We see all that, all these 50s here, 52, 51, 51 here for the first 4 days of February. And then that kind of drops back off into the mid 40s the later you get into February. So we're expecting a warm up possible. Again, this is 10 days out. We don't really like to predict further in terms of systems more than about a week out or so. When it comes to temperatures, we can read patterns pretty well. So we do think the pattern does flip to a more warmer type of air, but it's not going to hang around too long. We don't think it's going to be a prolonged warm up. It's a fool's spring, so to speak, for a majority of people here in Michigan. Now, if we go, let's go ahead and go to Grand Rapids here to cover the most of the entire state here, so you guys don't get missed out here. So this is Ann Arbor. We just looked at Gaylord. Let's look at Grand Rapids here really quickly. Now, here is Grand Rapids temperature. We see 52 there, 54, 52, 49, 45. So no matter where you're at in the state, a warm up is likely, whether you're in the UP, whether you're in the southern part of the state, you're going to experience likely a warm up here. And that is also favored and supported by the new Climate Prediction Center's 8 to 14 day outlook, which shows Michigan in a much above average range, or a higher probability for above average temperatures is how you're supposed to read that map. So overall, a warm up is coming for early February. We are watching a system for this weekend. We're not really sure if it's going to be rain or snow yet. Just keep an eye on it. We're still plenty of time here to work stuff out. To keep an eye on it. That's it. And then as far as today goes, rain for south of I-96 and then snow north of I-96. In terms of temperature profiles today, looking at temperatures across the state, we're looking at 30s, 34, 35 in spots across southern Michigan here. I know it's kind of hard to see here, but we do have temperatures up here on the map here. It's hard to see. But if you go up here to the north where the snow is falling, we see 33, 33, 33, 34. So we could have, this is going to be a really heavy, wet snow for you guys up there who are getting snow. But with those temperatures above freezing, ice is going to start melting. So the ice that has fallen on the roads, it's going to melt. So as we've talked about before, road conditions are going to gradually improve throughout the day. And then through the week, looking at our forecast through the week, we are going to be seeing off and on rain for a majority of the state here. If we go back here to our NAM model and kind of run it through the precip, we're going to see just passing showers for a majority of us here in the state. So not really expecting much in the way of significant flooding at this point in time. Again, we see the system moving up here from the south for Wednesday. Again, rain for Wednesday, and then into Thursday, we have some lingering showers. And not really expecting heavy rain or any type of flooding here, but we could be looking at a few rivers and creeks that are going to rise. But overall, the flooding threat should remain pretty subdued, just because the rivers currently are mostly at a good level. So any melting of snow with the rain, this the significant amount of rain we're supposed to, or we're not going to get a significant amount of rain, so it's not really going to amount to much in terms of the water basins and stuff like that. So while localized like ponding of water is definitely possible, not expecting any major river rises or stuff like that through the week. So with that being said, I believe I covered most everything. Uh, we had this idea here, MSC, to start doing these live stream like weekly stuff, weekly briefings more often. So if you guys like this, definitely let us know so we can get some feedback going and improve as we go. But we're going to try and start doing some more in the way of live streams in terms of just overall weather conditions throughout the week, anything to watch, stuff like that. So be prepared to see a little bit more in the way of live streams on our page. So if you guys do appreciate it, we would like to hear feedback on how we can improve, what we should include. We can start doing traffic and stuff like that if you guys want us to. But we've been looking into that for a while, and this is going to be a thing we're going to try to implement here in the near future. Look to the comment section now. Don't see too many comments here, so it looks like I covered everything pretty well here. Autumn, yes, the rain will melt the ice as well as surface temperatures here. We don't go below freezing for a majority of the state. We're going to flirt, so to speak, with freezing right around 32 degrees, 34, could see 31 in some spots. The further north you go, the colder it is. That's just the case here in Michigan. So if you're in the UP, likely going to see probably closer to 28 to 30, maybe 31. But during the daytime, we should be above freezing for most everybody here in Michigan. So gradually the ice is going to melt with the rain. The rain's going to help it melt. We're not going to see it refreeze. Widespread refreezing, should I say. We could see some refreezing on roadways in areas that drop below freezing, but overall temperatures are going to stay above that freezing mark. So not really concerned for flash freezing or refreezing of any of this rain. Yes, 50s is definitely a possibility into February. Again, we're watching the pattern for warm up. We're not going to say specifics in terms of temperatures just yet, but all indications do point towards a run at 50 at the very least. So I definitely expect into the mid to upper 40s for sure, with areas reaching 50. That seems like a given at this point. All right, guys, more questions? Go ahead and drop them in chat. I'll try and get to them. Yeah, back roads right now are no, they shouldn't refreeze at all, Amanda. They're going to stay slick for a while just because less traffic, and then also plows aren't going to get to them to treat them. So back roads will remain slick probably throughout the day, probably into tomorrow, honestly. But they will gradually improve as temperatures stay above that freezing mark. We're going to be above freezing for most of the week here, even with low temperatures are going to flirt with freezing. So we're not looking at many areas with refreezing potential. No, Rachel, I don't think the warm weather is going to stay for very long. I think it's going to be a brief, maybe a 5-day period. We're going to see much above average temperatures. Again, we are still technically above average right now, because the average in the current, well, for example, here, this red line you see here down here on this model, that is your average temperature, and this is your actual temperature above here where it kind of graphs with the bars. So we're seeing still above average temperatures all throughout the period, even as we get into the warm up here. 39, 38, 38, 37, 36, they're all above average. The average temperature for Grand Rapids at this point in season is right between 25 and 30 degrees, and it starts gradually increasing into March. So even with 38 degrees, that's still above average. Yeah, I am too, Rachel. It's basically a heat wave in comparison to what we're used to here the past week or so. Negative 25 wind chills, and now it's 35 degrees outside. It's shorts weather. Pull out those shorts, pull out the t-shirt, head to the beach. Yeah, Matt, we covered that a little bit ago. Potential for precipitation this weekend on Saturday. We're going to break it down for our subscribers first today. I know Alex is working on that forecast. It could go both ways. We'll have more details as we go throughout the week, but definitely something to watch as we head into the weekend. Did anybody here in chat, has anybody seen ice on trees or power lines? I'm curious because where I'm at here in eastern Lenawee County, we did not get any ice anywhere on power lines or trees, but we did see a lot of elevated surfaces, sidewalks, stuff like that. We saw a lot of freezing. I have not been out and about on the road, so I don't know how those are. But in terms of ice sticking to trees, we had very minimal of that over here. I also was at 33 degrees last night, which was a degree warmer than expected. So. And you guys are quiet today. Not many questions, huh? Amanda says the pine trees had a little bit of ice this morning, but nothing else. None here, says Olivia. All right. So it looks like we probably saw either most areas at or above freezing, which probably aided in suppressing the ice accumulation, but also the rain was a little bit heavier than expected as well. Freezing drizzle is, in my opinion, more efficient at building ice on objects than freezing rain is because the heavier you get with the rainfall rates, the less it will accumulate. Unless your temperature is closer to like 30 or maybe a little bit below that as well. But looks like we escaped the majority of it here in Michigan, so that's really good news. Rachel, the roads should not refreeze tonight. We're going to stay above freezing for a majority of the state. The back roads will likely stay slippery just because there's quite a bit of snow probably on them from the past week of Arctic air. We haven't been able to treat the roads just because the temperatures are too cold for salt to work. So back roads will likely stay slick until they melt fully, but we should be gradually melting, if that makes sense. With 31 degrees there, yeah, some refreezing is definitely possible, but still, I would be more concerned for refreezing the lower you get. 31 degrees, again, it's below freezing, but it's not going to efficiently freeze all the rain that's going to be falling throughout the day. So some slick spots are still possible, but again, that ice will probably remain on those roads. They're not going to melt fully and probably until tomorrow or even maybe Thursday. Depends on how your back roads look. I know it varies across the state. Snow has stopped in Midland right now. Been snowing good since the start. All right. No ice buildup on lines or trees in Dearborn. No ice this time in Barry. So it looks like, yeah, it looks like the most of us. I'm really kind of curious to see how the Kalamazoo area did because we did see quite a few power outages over toward the North Kalamazoo area. I'm kind of curious how they fared over there. But overall, I think we escaped the storm for the most part, which is really good news. All right, guys, I don't see any more questions popping in here. So I'm going to hop off here. So again, if you guys like this stream and want to see more in terms of the way of future forecasting, systems to watch, stuff like that, we do plan to go live a little bit more often throughout the remainder of this month and also into February. So if you guys liked it, we would appreciate the feedback. Any tips or any topics you want to see covered, let us know. Give us your ideas. And I hope to see you guys on the next live stream. So thank you guys for watching. Hit that like button on your way out and stay safe.